Is the box on? Is the
We're streaming.
okay? Okay, I was there thinking.
Hey guys, welcome to Complete Developer Raw, a live show with Will and BJ. Happy podcast anniversary, man. Tomorrow actually is our 3-year anniversary from the date of the first episode that came out.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. That's pretty awesome.
Man, lots changed.
Yeah. I say tomorrow. I think it's either tomorrow or over the weekend. It's coming up soon.
Yeah, we could like totally look it up, but we're not really that motivated. Or maybe he is. But
Give me just a
the
second.
collective we is not that motivated because
So it was
I'm not gonna look
15.
it up.
So it was September of 2015. I'm off by 2, I think. So today's the 6th, 7th.
It's traditional in programming to only be off by 1.
So it's the 10th. The 10th is our podcast anniversary.
So that'd be Monday.
Monday. Yep.
Okay.
So there we go. Monday is our podcast anniversary. I think we should start celebrating now all the way through next week.
Yeah. There we go.
And
Because we don't have anything else to do.
I will drink to that.
But two, I can't.
You're the one that said it there, man.
I know. It's like totally not your fault. I wish I could blame you. I just forgot my bourbon. Okay.
All right, so I hit a goal early. One of my goals for this year was to drop another pant size, and I have done that. The pants I am wearing now, I bought over Labor Day weekend, and they are a size smaller than I was before. Also, I am wearing this T-shirt that is also a size smaller than I was wearing. It's really cool. The state parks are having a sale on short sleeve shirts, and so I'm wearing one that I bought the other day. So it's really cool. Also, pro football in America. So the ball that looks like a foot, not the one that you kick. Well, you do kick it sometimes, but you know what I mean, guys. That is starting soon. That kind of got away from me.
Yeah, that's like the strangest description of football that I've heard.
Wasn't that why it's called football? It's because it looks like a foot?
I don't think it looks like a foot, but okay.
I don't know. That's in my head. That's
Sure, man.
Anyways, I rode down to Smyrna this past Sunday for our fantasy draft. I'm actually considering paying the $99 to get the NFL games on my Fire Stick TV since I don't have cable. I have to actually go out to a bar or something to watch them.
It'd probably be cheaper that way because the liquor bill's lower.
Yeah, exactly.
Probably save that money. It's kind of like getting a coupon book.
Yeah. So what's going on with you, man?
I have been in this awful slugging match. I feel like with every piece of technology I've used in the last week. Mm-hmm. So I got hit with a Windows update last week, and for some reason my motherboard has got 2 network ports on it. After this Windows update, if I put the system under load, network wise, it disconnects the network and it won't come back on until I reboot the box.
Oh.
So that's unpleasant. It also it's something else with the firmware on the board, but like my surround sound, I got 5.1 surround sound, right? Well, now I've got not that. I don't know how to put that. It's like
not that. That's great.
Well, like the back 2 speakers work. And so I switched the wires for the back ones and the front ones because those are the only 2 that work. Well, them in the subwoofer.
Yeah.
Like,
so you have
I haven't
2.1.
Yeah, I've got like this dumb, and I don't know why. I think they just broke stuff. My Blu-ray
Sounds like a driver
player,
issue.
Yeah, well, my Blu-ray player also acted up. I'm also getting event log entries for the hard drive controller for a SATA plug that isn't plugged in to anything. It's like, yes, there's a controller error because there's nothing to control. So there's that. Then I'm in a slugging match with my NAS because part of the reason I found out my network issues were going on was because I installed some software that lets me sync files between my desktop and my NAS and all that stuff. Well, that put it under load. That's what showed the whole thing up. the NAS, there's like 4 different options for file sync. One of them's built in. That one's not going to work because it kills the network cards. And then like I set up a Docker container with C-file. It crashes just like continually. Like it crashes so fast that the place where it puts all the notifications is just scrolling. So like that dog don't hunt. So I mean, it's every darn thing in the world. And then Bank of America got me this weekend. My wife needed money transferred to her account, right?
Yeah.
Now Thursday night I did that. It was either Thursday night or Friday during the day. I want to say it might have been Friday morning actually, right before I left. So it worked. Friday night, she goes, "Hey, can you transfer $150 into my checking account?" Okay, sure. I gotta say, no, you can't. They pushed a breaking change on a holiday weekend, like a 3-day holiday weekend.
Oh my goodness!
So I finally got frustrated with it because what it was some kind of like lookup deal, and it had the data.
Yeah.
And then it was doing something and going, "Oh, I've got an error," and just like crapping out. And so I got it in the Chrome console, set a breakpoint, and skipped that.
Oh, nice.
And then got it to push the transaction through. Like, yeah.
The website.
I had to do it twice. Because the second time she's like, "Hey, I need a little bit more money." And I'm like, "Are you joking?" And thankfully my breakpoints were still there.
Yeah, that's great. That's just hilarious, man.
What? So yeah, all that to say,
test your code before you publish to production.
or publish to something that I don't use.
Well,
That's cool too. Just don't publish busted stuff in front of me for like a couple of years. Because I'm kind of over it.
all right. So, podcast-wise, we have been working on the live show and some of the tools we're using for that. It's really interesting. I stopped at the store the other night and
There's
got
a tool we're supposed to pay for, by the way, too. Isn't there?
No.
I thought we talked about me paying for something.
I said there is a paid version of this, but we don't need it.
Oh, I was
Yeah.
going to totally pay for it, but
I
that's
know.
cool too.
That's fine. There's something else that we could get that is better, but
Yeah.
it's we're working on that. We're looking at some tooling. So if you guys have any suggestions, anybody is a streamer, let us know. Also, we're thinking about getting on Twitch, so let us know what you think of that.
I think the term streamer sounds like it should be an insult in a sci-fi movie. You streamer. I don't know why. I'm sorry. It's in a weird mood today. I got 10 hours of work in, okay, with no break.
Also, our friends over at JDT, they have similar anniversary as us, and they're going to be recording their first episode in front of a live audience.
Yeah, that's what, next weekend?
Yeah, it's the 15th, I believe, is when they're going to do it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I will very likely be there helping out with the audio, so that should be interesting.
Yeah, if you want to come and heckle Beach, that's a place to do it.
I think it's going to be over at the Hackery at Nashville Software School. It may be in a classroom. I don't know. I know it's going to be in that building. I'm not sure exactly where they're going to have it, but you guys should, if you're here in the Nashville area next weekend, definitely check it out. I think it's going to start around 2:30ish.
Yeah, so, and I'm speaking at NSS Tuesday.
Yeah. Now, we'll both be there next Saturday for our Dev Launchpad.
Yeah.
So you can come and join us then, too.
And heckle us.
Yeah. We won't be doing a lot of speaking. It's working on a code challenge, and Will's going to be helping people out doing whiteboard. Yeah, so that'll be really cool. All right. Speaking of whiteboard questions, let's move into the questions.
I don't know why we both do that with our eyebrows. Have you noticed that? It's like...
We do.
It doesn't look bad as you see on screen.
I don't know who picked it up from whom.
Yeah, it's a really screwy habit. Like we didn't notice that until we started like seeing our faces, and then we'll say something, and then there's a pause and a.
Well, you know what? I think what it is, we'll say something, and then we'll see ourselves on screen, and when you're not looking directly at the camera, your eyes look kind of squinty because you're like reading.
Maybe that's what it is.
And we're both like, oh, I need to open my eyes up more to be seen.
Okay, let's blame it on the tech. That feels a whole lot better than being a weirdo.
Yeah.
All right, so the first question. What is job security like for software developers over the age of 40 to 50? Now, this varies depending on where you are. I think there's a lot of stuff, discussing how in Silicon Valley that's probably not the kind of place you want to be at 40 to 50. Of course, you probably don't want to be in the heavy startup environment at that point anyway. You got kids, you got a mortgage.
Even if you don't have kids, it's just that lifestyle.
Just over it, yeah. As far as like the venture-backed startups and that fast pace, break things and move all the time, that's probably not your jam. So the 40 to 50-year-old range, I think, is probably actually fairly stable. In a lot of ways, you probably aren't going to get as much of the cutting edge stuff, but you're going to get more into architectural concerns. You're going to get more into larger system design, mentoring other people, that kind of stuff.
I would say this would be a great time to get into if you've been in the smaller companies, to get into maybe a medium-sized or even the smaller end of larger. And that way you can get into a position like that. Or if you want to stay with a small company, one that's more established, like the one that you work at.
Right, because we've got developers that have been there for 20 years.
Yeah, it's a smaller company, but they're not exactly a startup because they've been around for quite a while.
Yeah, so that's a pretty good fit. Another opportunity is entrepreneurship, right? Like you can just say, I don't need job security, I'm going to start my own thing. There's a misconception that most successful startups are started by people in their 20s, and that's not true.
Usually it's the people working for them are in their 20s.
Yeah, or
the people owning it are usually in their 40s and 50s.
Right, and especially the people doing things like angel investing, dumping capital into those things are definitely
they're definitely older.
So there's a lot of other opportunities out there. You do have to shift your perspective, right? Like you're probably not going to go for the VC backed, hard scrabble startup thing, and you probably don't want to, because you've probably seen enough by this point that you're kind of over it. I mean, part of the deal that the 20-year-old range folks, the reason they're in that is that somebody can exploit them.
And there's,
I mean, I don't know. Exploit's probably a strong term. They're not over it. They're not going to sit there and they're not going to draw a boundary line as quick because they don't realize yet in many cases that they can draw one.
Yeah, they're a lot more willing to work 80 hours a week.
Yeah, it doesn't hurt as much when you're in your 20s.
Yeah, that's very true.
Because I did it. And it's, now I'll work like a 65, 70-hour week, and it just absolutely kills me. And I remember being like 25 or so and doing that. And, it took 3 or 4 of those in a row to make me really tired. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, it's just another thing.
No.
So I don't know if that answers the question. I would say it's the same level of security.
Yeah. I mean,
if not better, because you can also work with old technology that other people don't want to use. Mm-hmm. And, if there's a limited and shrinking market and you sit atop it, that's a lot more secure.
Yeah. There's that, especially if you're okay doing maintenance and maintaining and doing small updates on the older technology, or you can integrate the older technology with newer stuff. Yeah. Definitely something. I know, like where I work, most of what I do, 90% of my job is greenfield development because we're replacing older systems. But 1 quarter out of the year, I'm on the maintenance team and I'm working with stuff that was built 10, 15 years ago.
Yep.
And so when the last time they went through one of these, let's replace everything. Replace all the old stuff with
and last time they replaced the green screens, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, that's kind of, obviously I wasn't there back then, so I don't know exactly how that went down, but I assume that a lot of places that are around for a long time, like obviously government's going to be around for a while, but
you hope.
Yeah. But that a lot of older companies too will
really government's around for a long time anyway. It's just sometimes you get a new one and that seems to be a little shocking to the system.
That's a good point. But what I'm getting at here is that, periodically it goes through, like, when computers first came out, they had to go from doing everything by filing it, paperwork to putting it on the computer. And then they updated that. And now a lot of stuff that we're doing is getting forms and papers online.
Yeah, and you're dealing with a lot of field paperwork too now, being reachable. So it's just like the computer area expanded. Anyway, this topic expanded.
Yeah, but basically, there is job security over over 40. I hope so because I'm pushing it soon.
Yeah, I'll be 39 next month.
I'll say you're a bit sooner than me, but yeah.
Yeah.
It just may not be the exact same thing as you had in your 20s and 30s.
Yeah, and you don't want it to be.
No,
right?
you really don't.
And the other thing, too, is when you get, 55, 60, like there's another change there. There's, it's not that there's a lack of job security. There's a lack of job security if you're trying to pretend you're still 40.
No. And if you're 40, there's a lack of job security if you're trying to pretend you're still 20.
Yeah, and, and again, if you're 25 and you're trying to pretend you're still 15, you have a hard time keeping that management job as over the fry cooks. So it's just be in the appropriate slot and you'll be fine.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. All right, next question. So this one was actually a listener question, not one that I pulled from Quora and the several other places that I get. All right. So it's like 95% Quora and 5% other places.
Yeah.
Just because I have the tags sent to email me. And they have some people ask really good questions on there. I just reword them a little bit. You guys know our process now.
Yeah, it's good to,
but this is one that came from a listener directed towards me, which is, what is your plan to keep improving on your dev skills while working on your masters? Which is a great question, and it's hilarious. We got this question in, I believe, last night or the day before yesterday, and we are working on an episode. Actually, it's going to be the start of sort of a collection of episodes that throughout the next few months we'll be putting out on going back to school. And this one is on making that decision. And we talk about in there keeping up with your dev skills. What I'm personally doing is I still have the trainings that I go through at work. One of the benefits of where I work is they are very, we're allowed to take so many training classes, and we have an entire course on, like, an entire training academy for IT.
Yeah.
Which is really great. Let's see, what else? I also have my Pluralsight account. I haven't gotten rid of that. And I've cut back on it. I'm not trying to go through an entire course in a week.
Yeah, I've got a friend that does that every week. He goes through a course.
Yeah. I wasn't trying even then, even before I got back into school. I wasn't trying to do every week. It was like when I decided to do it, I would set aside a week and be like, I'm going to go through a course this week.
Yeah, that's and that's pretty harsh. I go through a lot of training and stuff, and that's I can't do that. I think the other thing too that you're doing that's probably under noticed is the fact that you're continuing to develop.
Yeah.
That will help your skills more than anything else if you're conscientious about what you're doing. If you're not copying and pasting stuff that already works, that'll make you better just by practice.
Another thing that has been helping my skills is we are working on some like API standards at work, and so I've been doing a lot of research on that. I'm very opinionated. And so I've been asked to be part of creating them. I guess our architect decided, hey, if he's going to have such strong opinions anyways, we might as well get him involved in the building process. That way we don't have to rewrite things when he looks at them.
or going to have to listen to the whinging.
Yeah.
That's really what that is.
But so as part of that, I've been learning a lot of less specifics and more general best practices, which has drastically improved my coding skills.
Yeah.
Just in the last couple of months looking into this, I can tell a difference in my own ability. So that has helped. I'm looking at a little bit of a higher level. I can't remember. So you should check this out. I just thought this. I was listening to the guys on Coding Blocks the other day, and they have an episode on algorithm efficiency, like Big O notation.
Yeah.
And some of the stuff they said helped me understand better the episode that you wrote.
Yeah.
Not that you did a bad job, but it's just like they put it into terms. I'm like, oh, I get that even better now.
Yeah. Well, it's one of those things that like you almost that in particular is really hard to get abstractly. Like you just it's like trying to abstractly describe football, right? Like you see it and then it makes sense. You see it enough, then you know how the game is played. that's how it is. It's
Yeah.
not an abstract thing.
So I think it was them, or it was something I read working on this episode. It kind of all blends together with me, but basically, that getting the computer science degree is like a jar to hold knowledge about coding.
I think that might be from the email I sent this week.
Was that from the email you sent this week?
Yeah, the big long freaking email that I
Okay,
wrote.
I couldn't remember where I heard that or read that, but I've been doing a lot of different things. So yeah, that very well may be from your email. So it was a really good email, by the way. If you haven't signed up for the emails, get them, because obviously, I thought it came from somewhere else.
And
I didn't think you were smart enough to do that.
I might not have been. It still might have happened, though.
You might. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but the thing is that really resonated with me. So I guess it was you, and not I don't know.
It was a completely different context, but I'm glad that bled over.
Yeah, it resonated with me with this whole idea that what I'm learning with my masters.
Yeah, it's the bucket that holds the stuff, not the stuff.
Yeah, it's going to be what I'm learning with my masters is a way of looking at and understanding what I'm doing at my job and what I'm learning skill wise. Practically, what I'm doing for this is I'm continuing. I've cut back, but I'm still continuing to take classes. And one of the things we're really going to get into in this episode is the time that it takes away, and you have to be really strict about a schedule, both with your school and your work, but also your social life and things like that, so that you can continue growing and learning. So that is funny. Like I said, I read it, and I read it the same day that I listened to the episode. I listened to the episode today on the bus, and so I listened to the episode, I read it, and I had been studying, writing this episode, so I didn't know where that knowledge came from.
Yeah, sometimes stuff kind of pops out like it's a fever dream anyway. It just, that's knowledge
so
for
funny.
you.
That was something you wrote.
I was sitting there going, that sounds awfully familiar, and I was like, wait a minute.
That is hilarious. I can't believe that. I can. So I was I do read the emails when they come out, and it was really good. So again, if you guys aren't on the email list, sign up, because he writes some amazing stuff. All right, next question.
Is Googling code and searching sites like Stack Overflow for solutions, etc., frowned upon by people who employ developers? It's frowned upon by dumb people. However, copying and pasting said solutions should be frowned upon by everybody.
Oh.
There's a former developer at an employer, and I won't say whether it's a current one or a previous one, and I've had enough of those that nobody can be 100% sure what I'm talking about. But this guy would write code where I'm going to say that you questioned whether he had a double-digit IQ. And
Oh, man.
then he would periodically just bump out something that was beautiful, and you're looking at it. It's like it's like a kid on a group project that can't make a sentence, and then he writes something that's eloquent, and you're like, where'd you steal that?
Mm-hmm.
That kind of thing is bad, because the guy that can't write that code also can't debug it, can't figure out what's wrong with it. That is one thing that's a real problem, at least in the .NET space on Stack Overflow, is you'll see people going, here's how this works, but they don't realize that, okay, you get a memory leak if you do this. This doesn't work with large amounts of data. There's a weird edge condition over here. This doesn't work with internationalization, whatever. So you don't want to copy from there. You look at it and you go, okay, is this the shape of a solution, not is this a solution I can move?
Yeah. So I had a coworker that she would copy. She'd copy and paste the code in, and then comment it out, and use that so she didn't have to flip back and forth.
Oh yeah, you always have. That's why I have a second screen, but I always type it.
Yeah.
Even if it's exactly the same, because that gets that, like you've committed it to memory because you wrote it.
Yeah, and that's what I told her. We talked about it, but yeah, I told her, I was like, I like to actually type it out, even if I'm typing out the exact same thing and then going back and changing it, just because that gets that memory. Also, I found as a junior developer, when I was applying for junior developer positions, if I mentioned Stack Overflow, like eyes lit up, because apparently junior developers didn't know about it.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of them aren't really shown how to do it. And the other thing, too, you got to realize a lot of people applying for junior dev jobs really shouldn't. They're not there yet.
Well, also, there's the case of they may have used it, but not wanted to admit to using it.
Yeah, which is another problem. But, I mean, like, okay, look. Just as an aside here, junior dev interviews are like auditions for Dancing with the Stars.
Mm-hmm.
There's people that should be there, but there's a whole lot of people who need to take it home. So, you know what I mean?
I'm sorry.
It's the same.
It's just crazy. You mentioned Dancing with the Stars. Last night, I had a dream that I was on Dancing with the Stars with Lindsey Sterling.
Okay, then.
Yeah.
What kind of bourbon you drinking these days?
That's Scotch.
Actually. Scotch. Okay, good. Well,
it was an interesting.
You didn't put ice in it. I mean, maybe that's what happened. You know, that's probably what it is. Did you put ice in there? Because that'll screw you up.
No, I don't put ice in my Scotch.
Okay,
or bourbon or whiskey. No,
yeah.
No.
Well, I mean, I think that would give me nightmares.
Yeah.
Okay, so
this wasn't a nightmare. This was a good dream.
It was still weird dreams, you know. It's
actually what was the best part of the dream was sitting on the couch between dances talking. Oh, sorry. It's I digress.
Yeah,
Let's move on to talking about the upcoming episodes.
Yeah, why not? You've already had an episode apparently.
So, guys, if you I talked about the email that we'll send out. If you haven't already listened to it, check out Reinvesting Your Gains. We like to think that we're all on a path of improvement, whether it's our skill level, our finances, our health, or all of the above. It's a lot of work to be continually attempting to improve yourself. Lots of things will jump in the way of real personal growth, with everything from relationship drama to boredom and depression making an appearance. Your mind is not only an incredible pattern matching device, it's also a device that is absolutely amazing at making you regress towards previous behaviors. We've all done the hardcore diet and lost a lot of weight. I say we've all done that. I know people that have never had to diet in their lives, and I know people who have had to constantly be on diets. But everybody understands that analogy. So in this episode, we mostly use that as an example of trying to, reinvest your gains by sticking with a diet and, being successful and staying successful. However, you can use the same set of principles for personal habits, for your finances, exercise, and just about anything you can think of. The episode actually comes from a suggestion from our friend Chang, and we start off by talking about why you may be having trouble forming new habits, and then we get into what you should do before starting to set yourself up for success. Next, we talk about what you should do before, and then once you meet your goal. And finally, we end the episode talking about how to create a long-term plan. So if you haven't already listened to it, check that out.
And next week, we have an episode on acing the internal interview. Now, last year, I guess right around this time, we had actually, I know it was around this time, we had a 7-part thing, bucket O episodes that was on the process of getting your first job. And one of the things we covered was interviewing. However, one spot that we missed was how to get through an internal interview effectively.
Mm-hmm.
Now, a lot of companies prefer to promote from within because they already know you, either for the prestige of claiming to do so or because it's that you're already known, and that's typically what it is.
Yeah.
So there's a difference between interviewing at a new location with people who don't know you or have not worked with you and interviewing in front of your coworkers. There's just a completely different dynamic that goes on there. Your coworkers already know your faults. They also know your strengths, hopefully, and probably know your weaknesses. And the things that work well in an outside interview don't necessarily translate very well to an internal one. You can't really BS people because most people at that point realize like what your tells are when you BS them. They've seen the way you sit and the way you move your head and all that kind of stuff when you're telling them junk. So it's not going to work there. So sorry,
You got off topic there.
Yeah, I really did. I could just like talk about that. That's something that we probably, I don't know. There's a place for that, but it's not here. So we'll get back to this other thing. This episode we discuss what you need to know to ace an internal interview for promotion, lateral transfer, or other stuff. We start off talking about why you would interview internally and some different types of interviews, like the different ways that it might be structured. Then we talk about the differences between internal and external interviews. And then the majority of the episode is spent talking about how to prepare for the interview, strategies to use in the interview, and what to avoid. We close out by talking on how to follow up after an internal interview, so that even if this one doesn't work out, maybe the next one does.
No. So I'm going to pop over and see if we have any shout-outs. No, does not look like anybody is watching. So, haha, you guys will have to watch this when you can't talk to us. If anybody actually watches this episode. This is probably one of our more out theirs, so probably best no one's watching.
They'll still see it. They still get to see it live.
Yeah, that's true. Anyways, shout out to Chang for suggesting the episode that came out this week, and shout out to John Wells for sending in that question that I answered. So thank you guys very much. We appreciate y'all, and we're going to hop off here and record another episode.
Peace out.